Our second speaker is Richard E. Peck, past international president. Richard is here today. He's a distinguished Toastmaster, joined Toastmasters in 2006 at the recommendation of Les Brown and quickly rose through leadership, ultimately serving as the 2020-2021 International President of Toastmasters International. During his presidency, he launched the International Presidents World Tour, connecting virtually with members in over 140 countries and speaking in person across 5 continents. A recipient of the US Presidential Award for Volunteerism in 2018. Richard is also deeply involved with organizations such as Kiwians International and Lions Club International. He holds degrees in electrical engineering and international business and is a co-author of Poking the Cadaver, a forensic approach to public speaking. Richard is recognized worldwide as a leader, coach, mentor, and speaker, known for his mantra. Being a leader is not about being the center of attention, it is about being the epicenter of attention. Richard, floor is yours.
There we go. The computer didn't want to work this morning. Before I start, I've been watching the chat from this morning's session, and boy, there's a lot to unpack here. We could spend the next hour just going through those items that were put in that chat window. And I may cut my session a little bit shorter just so we can answer some of those because I think they're very valuable. And Angel, I want to say this is the first time I've shared the stage with you. What a tremendous job that was. You really hit the message for the district. So well done. And talking to the members, I think that's the key there. So great
Thank
job.
you.
Yeah. And Teresa, thank you for not beating me up too badly. I know you mentioned me when I came on. I appreciate that as well. So I was asked to come and speak to you today about growing clubs, which is going to be unique in the new environment that we're in because some districts are getting areas or states that they've never been involved with before. And it's going to look totally different. Like my home district is actually picking up Vermont. We've never had Vermont before. Or a small piece of Pennsylvania. We've never had Pennsylvania before. So now it's going to be a little bit different in how you grow, and the approaches are going to have to be different. And I like what Angel had mentioned earlier about things just don't happen. You have to have a plan. And we talk about strategic planning. No one really wants to hear the term strategic planning, do they? It sounds so business oriented. It's not something that we talk about often. Yet strategic planning is very important in how you achieve goals and how you achieve not only Toastmasters goals, but your personal goals. And I've do strategic planning for individuals. And when you build a plan, an accurate plan, and you stick to it, you'd be amazed at what you can accomplish. And I say realistic plan because too many times we want to become something or do something that we might be able to do in time, but not right now. You have to take the steps to get there. So I love when I go on district visits and talk to district leaders and they go, our goal this year is to be Smedley distinguished. Admirable goal, really admirable goal. District hasn't been distinguished in years. Let's work at getting to distinguished and build from there, right? We don't want to push so hard that we wear everybody out just getting towards one goal. We want to build sustainable goals. And one of the ways that we help with building those goals and helping to increase our districts is through club building. Now, we all know that we build new clubs and support all clubs in achieving excellence. All clubs in achieving excellence, including some of those ones that are struggling. What I want to talk to you about first, though, is how to build new clubs, whether they're corporate or community or college. There are some basic plans that all have to be put into place. They get customized based on the type of club they are. Right? A corporate club may be different than a community club. Corporate clubs generally meet for an hour. Community clubs usually meet for longer than that. Right? So you have to take a plan and then customize it. But let's talk about the plan. District leaders come in and they say, I want to build clubs. We have to build clubs this year. Some of them, not all of them, but some of them say that, right? And they throw a dart at a map and say, we're going to build a club here. Why? Do we even know that we can build a club there or not? Do we know that we can support the club that's there? So the first thing you have to think about is location. Where are we going to build this club and why? Can it be supported? Can it sustain growth? Can it sustain a year? A corporation that has got 30 members is not going to build a 20-member club. It can't, and it can't sustain it, even if you were to get it off the ground. So you have to start thinking about what size club are we building? Where those opportunities exist? Can I build it quick? Is it going to take long term? Community, corporate, college. So knowing the location that you want to build it in first. Is it a particular area? So how many areas does District 100 have? Do we need to build clubs in these pockets? Are we losing clubs in these pockets? I think the first thing you need to do before you start building a club in an area is understand if you're losing clubs in that area, why are you losing clubs in that area? Because there could be an underlying circumstance there. Maybe it's not supportable and they don't feel that they're getting that. So the location is key. Think of it as a garden. Any gardeners here? Couple? Okay. Do you grow your sun-needing flowers and vegetables in a shady environment? No, you do not. Building a club is the same way. Knowing what can be sustained at that point in time in that location is key. So if you start thinking about, okay, building a club is like growing a garden. Okay. First, we find the location where we think it can thrive. We map that out. Then what do we do next? We do a little bit of research on our soil, on the length of time it gets sun, all those things before we even start planting it, right? Because we want to know whether we can produce things there. So how do we do that in the arena of building a club? Well, we start to research the community, the corporation, and understand more about them. It, if the community is a community where most people commute to work to a different area, it might be harder to build a community club in that community because people aren't going to necessarily be there all the time, right? So understanding that community, the philosophy that as long as there's a McDonald's in that community, you can build a Toastmasters club. Might have been the right model at one point in time. I'm not so sure it's the same now. Uh, but thinking about that, so what do we know about the area that we're going to build this in, the location that we're going to? And I'll try to avoid using area, but the location we're going to build this in. If it's a corporate environment, what do we know about the corporation? Is it a large corporation, small corporation? Are there any other clubs for that same company? Bank of America used to have close to 200 Toastmasters clubs. You could build off that symbiotic relationship of other clubs. So now you have to do that research and really understand whether it can be supported. So now I've got the location, I've done my research, and I think we can support it here. Now you have to start planting the seeds to grow that club. And I heard it stated so nicely before by Teresa, we have to explain, we have to ask them what they want to get out of it and tell them what they can, because they may not know. But we can't make it about us. We just can't, because who really cares? Yeah. Uh, I've been to clubs, and you've probably been to clubs, maybe even yours does this, and you'll have an individual and you say, listen, I need you to give a speech because we need one more pathways level at the club. Why? Do you think they really care about that? No, they don't. They want to know what they're going to get out of it. Changing that narrative, as was said earlier. Your corporation needs a Toastmasters club. Well, why does my corporation need a Toastmasters club? Well, by having a Toastmasters club, your employees can gain these skills, making them more valuable to you, allowing them to take on greater leadership roles. You have to flip the script when you try to build Toastmasters club, either new or existing. When members come into clubs, are you asking them what their goals are? I think that was a key question that came out of the earlier session, right? We don't ask members what their goals are, and that's a lost opportunity. When we go into corporations, we should be asking HR or the leadership group there, how can we help you? What is it that your employees need so that we can provide those skills? See, Toastmasters is not a one-size-fits-all program, but unfortunately, we often sell it as one-size-fits-all. And if we change that narrative, we flip the script a little bit and show how it's customizable to the corporation, the community, the individual, there will be more reception to it. Leaders on the call, how many of you stepped into leadership because someone said, we need you as a leader to fill an area role? Yeah, I'm seeing a number of hands went up. No, nobody said we need you as an area director because you're going to bring such a skill set into this role. And Annetta is laughing over here because I know she's heard this, but no one ever says that, right? We need you because you can help us and help others grow. It's usually we need an area director because we don't want to have an empty role on the slate. Well, when we build clubs, we can't just build clubs for the sake of building clubs. We have to build clubs with purpose. We know the location. We've done our research. We start planting seeds in the community. We start planting seeds in the corporation. Corporate clubs seem to be a passion for a lot of people, right? Because you've got a captive audience there. You've got 20 members you can sign just like that. Yep, Umanga's going, yep, I got it. 20 members just like that. Guess what happens? You lose 20 members just like that too. Corporation can grow quickly, be formed quickly, and they can die quickly. Especially if they don't have HR support, leadership support, somebody behind them, right? And the only way you get that from them is showing them what the program can do to help and help them gain their goals and help them improve their employees. Build with purpose is right. That's exactly what you have to do. So you have to think about that. Community clubs take a long time to build or can take a long time to build. But community clubs, in my opinion, are like bamboo. It might take a long time to build them, but you're building a strong foundation with them. And community clubs used to tend to stay around a lot longer. And I know lately we're seeing an influx of clubs starting and then not continuing. I don't think that's the program's issue. I think there's other underlying issues there that need to be looked at. And so we can't blame the program. We can't blame what Toastmasters is doing. We have to look for some underlying things there as well. My club has been around since 1949. I know I'm not as old as a couple of the clubs out on the West Coast, but we've been around for a while and we've managed to sustain. So, it can be done. All right. So we've scouted our location. We've checked our soil. We know we can grow something here. We've started to plant the seeds in the community, started to plant the seeds in the corporation. And now we wait? No. Now we fertilize and we water and we help grow. We encourage. We play music sometimes for our plants, right? So they grow. Uh, but you have to do that. And where does that nurturing come from? Where does that watering, that fertilizer, where does that come from? That comes from the support that the district offers, right? Club coaches, club mentors, sponsors, area directors, senior leadership. If that is not there to tend the growth, what happens? What happens? It gets overgrown with weeds, it dies off. Clubs are the same way. If they don't feel that there's support, one, or they feel that there's too much support, two, you risk losing clubs. Okay. And I say too much support, and that may sound odd, but clubs, as we heard, have an identity. They want to be their own individuals. And when we force support upon them, when we try to change their culture, they're going to give up or they're going to become a social club. They're going to meet, they're not going to do pathways, anything along those lines. So we have to be careful we're not running over the club either. And I've seen that when a club coach will go into a struggling club. Right? And they'll go into a struggling club with the intent of helping that club out. But the club takes it as you're trying to change our culture. You're trying to change our identity. And then they push back and nothing changes. Right? So those are things that also need to be thought about. So who are my club mentors going to be? Who are my sponsors going to be? Right? Match those to the club you're trying to build. For the longest period of time, we had difficulty getting a club at Google. Do you know why? Because we would send people in shirts and ties and jackets like me to sell a Toastmasters club to Google. Do you think people at Google wear suits and ties? No. They're more relaxed. They're more laid back. It's a different culture. And it wasn't until we identified that culture that we were able to make inroads and make a club there, right? Develop a club there. So when you're looking at your community and your corporation, think about what your demo team looks like, right? Are you matching that identity with what you're trying to do? And I also will often say, when you're doing your demo meeting, do not send your best speaker in the world into that demo meeting. Send one that's can give a speech confidently. It's okay if they and ah, that's good because it's relatable to the club. But when you send in your best speaker, you send in your district champion to that club, the first thing you hear is, I could never speak like that, right? Because we don't give them the backstory that says, I never spoke like that initially, because we've got 1 hour to make this happen. So that demo team is part of the nurturing process as well. So making sure that those individuals, one, understand what's trying to be done, understand a little bit about the club you're trying to build, and match the club's culture, whether it's the corporation or the community. That will help you increase your chance of success. And I say chance because you can do everything right and it still doesn't work out. There will be those possibilities where things just don't work out. Um, Corporations, I think the uniqueness of corporations is clubs, corporate clubs where the corporation pays the dues for the members. I'll be honest with you, I'm not a fan of that. I'm okay with them paying the charter fee. I'm okay if they want to pay the new member fee. I'm not a fan of them paying the dues. And I say that because we as individuals need to have some skin in the game. And if somebody's paying for me, I may or may not take advantage of it. So I tend when we corporations tend to shy away from, hey, why don't you guys pay for the dues? You'll see how many people you get. They'll come right in um, because they'll go right out too. So I tend to stay away from that. Now, in some environments that works, in some environments it doesn't. However, there is an alternative that I offer, and that is to develop it like a tuition reimbursement plan. You have to attend so many meetings, you have to achieve, give so many speeches. You achieve that, you get 100% back. Achieve a certain amount of that, you get X percentage back. Kind of like tuition aid used to be. You get an A, you get 100%. You get an F, you get zero. And that tends to work because that now people are paying up front and now they're trying to get something back out of it. So those type of approaches will work as well. So let's talk a little bit about community. I think now we've got some ideas on how we build those seeds in the corporate environment and how we nurture it a little bit. In order to have a community club or develop a community club, you have to have a strong advocate for it. Someone who is willing to put in the time. Uh, what does time look like? Well, I can tell you that there was a corporate club, a community club, excuse me, that was on our books for close to 2 years that they were trying to develop it, and they never gave up on it. Now, that's a little too long to spend trying to develop a community club, but someone was very passionate about it. It finally did come to fruition, but it also didn't last. See, they spent too much time trying to build something that there was very limited interest in at the beginning, but they continued to churn, continued to churn, continued to churn to get it to grow, to be there. And then it just didn't survive after that. So there were some signs at the beginning that maybe this wasn't the best place to build it. But when people are passionate about something, they will tend to drive as hard as they can to get it there. So you have to have an advocate that, one, understands why they're doing what they're doing, and also can accept the realism that it may not happen, that it may not happen. getting 20 members at an event may not work out the first night. It may take months to get it there. And it could be for any number of reasons. Could be location, could be time, could be the fact that they're not selling the narrative rights. Right? I like the fact that we were talking about an individual who wanted to go into government, elected positions. I think that was Tracy that mentioned that earlier. Are we guiding individuals in the right direction, or are we just, we need something out of you, do it for us approach? And that just never works.
It looked like Richard has frozen to me.
As
Yeah, same
does me
here.
as well.
Yeah. Let's see. Maybe the internet connection.
Could be.
Yeah.
And I'm sure as soon as it clears up, he'll be right back on.
Yes. That's maybe Richard will be back soon.
Right. Exit out, coming back in, like a little reboot. That always helps. But such a great, interesting session. And while we're waiting, if anyone has any questions for Richard, if you want to put it in the chat and he can address it as soon as he gets back on.
I'm curious, what's the most impactful thing you've heard so far from him?
The most impactful thing for me, the club building he talk about, the example he took about garden, that is very close to me, and I thought that is the impactful thing for me today. I heard from his page, the way he explained it, and step by step, the way we get ready the earth and then the soil and things. I love that part. What about you, Teresa?
I really like that too. And I also like the part where he talked about fertilizing and watering.
Mm-hmm.
It's not enough just to plant it. And I feel like that happens a lot. Yeah, I don't know. I've been taking notes like a mad woman here. As a speaker, what I'm appreciating though too is he's laying out the steps, but then he, every third step he's, reminding us of what they were.
Uh-huh.
And I thought that was really helpful too.
I agree. Just his speaking style makes this really easy to listen to and engage because he gives you the space to do so, even if it's just space to think. I'm really paying attention to that, but the most impactful thing for me thus far was the approaches to membership dues. I've not quite heard it like that before. I've heard, people sponsoring organizations and things like that. But I liked his approach, that buy-in and reimbursement. And I think that's not just for corporate clubs. I think that's something because I get that a lot. People will say here and that because I do mentoring and coaching and I talk about speechcraft and they'll say, here, Annetta, we'll just give you some seed plants. Keep this going. Keep this going. And I was like, that's a thought. So.
Anyone else? I can see William smiling too. William, what did you think?
Yeah, I think I really appreciated, kind of in tandem to what Angel talked about this morning, the approach to leadership. No one ever asks you, hey, you have a great skill set for this role. It's, hey, we have an open role and you're a warm body. It's a great opportunity for you. No, and I think especially as we go into, finding new leaders for our clubs, carrying along the messages that Angel had, really think about as leaders of our clubs, what skills do people demonstrate that we can say, hey, your skill set really is great for public relations, for reaching out for membership. I think that's fantastic.
Thank you. I can see Richard is back.
I
Yeah.
am trying. For some reason, my computer decided it wanted to go away. So I've joined on my phone, and
Oh,
I'm going to try to rejoin on my computer momentarily. But and I had great things to say while I was gone. I wish someone would have recorded them for me.
yes, this is recorded.
Isn't it the fun of technology? It works well until it doesn't work at all.
Yeah.
Richard, we
as
were
I
just
was,
reviewing your highlights of your speech. So if you want to take a moment and reboot your computer, we can continue on with that until you're ready.
yeah, that sounded good. I'm rebooting my computer now. I'm trying to sign in. So yeah, if you just give me a couple minutes, I should be back on, but I will continue to listen.
Sure.
Yeah, William, what you said was really struck with me. Is often I think about we often treat bringing in new people like booty call instead of building a relationship. It's like I just want something to satisfy my need right here, right now. It's not about you; it's about my need. Instead of building a long-term relationship and a commitment to each other, and I think that's really important.
Because one is easy, it's quick, it's the direct approach, and building a relationship does take a long time. It does take an investment, but it's what really sustains. You look at the roots that some of the community clubs have that have been around for years and years. It's that relationship building that's stuck with it.
Thank
Yeah.
you, William. I can see
And
Lena.
yeah, just to add to the same point, I think building with purpose or doing anything for that matter with purpose, I think that is something that really struck with me because many a times I catch myself doing something very monotonously just for the sake of doing it when I'm creating some content or when I'm preparing for a Toastmasters meeting. I'm just doing something randomly, but then I take a step back and I'm like, okay, why am I doing this? What is the purpose behind this? How is it helping me? And how is it helping others in my community? I think if we are able to have that perspective, bring us back into that mindset when we can easily get derailed with so many distractions around us, I think that really helps because each of us see the value in the program. We are here because of that. And if we are able to clearly articulate that to others, that is definitely going to help build clubs with new members as well as retain some of our current members who might have lost track of what was their purpose. Why did they join? If we are able to help them remember that, I think that helps. So yes, purpose and doing something with intention is what struck with me.
Oh, may I quickly add? I love that, Lena. And also, I love how with past international president Peck mentioned about the value of people, letting them know strategically why they're important for that role. And then also when you're having that demo meeting, instead of like, okay, we're going to send the A team in. Well, that's great to have the A team, but we want to make sure that we're really strategic and thinking the best for the target audience. So perhaps if you bring in a Ramona Smith or you bring in a DeJaren, maybe if you bring in one of your local members that really can relate better with that club, they can see, oh, that person is speaking. They did a good job. And I could do a great job too, because that's so true. I didn't think about the fact that they don't know the backstory that this person had to try 2 times to get in and practice over and over again, where, these people may be new to Toastmasters, and giving them something that is real, realistic, attainable, something that they feel they can achieve, that may be a little bit more strategic. So I love that thought process. The value of people and giving them the opportunity to know this is obtainable in this safe place. That's wonderful.
Thank you, Shala. Anyone else? Oh, Richard is back.
Hey, look, I'm back.
Yes, thank you.
And not only am I back, I'm now back in 2 places. Oh, good. The other one went away. No, it's still there. that was a great conversation. I'm glad I at least got to come back for part of it. Thank you, William, for adding some of those insights there and for continuing the conversation. I think what I heard there about, it's a safe place is a key statement in anything, is that we have to ensure that we stay a safe place for others. Okay. All right. So we were talking about community clubs and getting the right people involved to help with that development and making sure that we have an advocate who is in it for the long haul, knowing that it may not happen overnight. One of the things that when it comes to club development, we need to try to avoid is areas, directors feeling that they need to grow a club because it's part of their responsibility to grow the club, right? An area director doesn't necessarily have to grow the club. They need to grow a club in their area, or they want to grow a club in their area, but they also need to realize that there's resources to them. So oftentimes, and I think some of you may have experienced this, you have something that you want to do, build a club, charter a new club, help grow your club, and you feel like you're on your own, that there's nobody there to help you, that the resources don't exist. And I talk about leadership. I do a session on leadership where I talk about one of the positions that a leader needs to lead from is behind their team. Right? You have to, we've all heard it, I've got your back. Right? I've got your back. Anyone ever played the trust fall game? Where someone stands behind you and says, I've got your back, fall back, I'll catch you. The first time they catch you, the second time they don't. Do you ever trust them again to do that? No, probably not. Well, if a district team is saying, listen, we've got your back, go ahead. You want to build a club here, we'll support you. And then they're not there to support. It's no different than a trust fall game is. The minute they feel that you don't have their back, they're going to stop looking at you for help. And clubs are the same way. When you develop a new club, build a new club, and you say you're going to be there with them, you're going to be there to support them, you're going to offer them the resources that you can to help them, you have to be there for them. You have to keep your word. So let's say now we've developed a club. It's either a corporate club, community club. We're putting in our club mentors and our sponsors. Let's make sure that the individuals we're putting in those roles are actually going to be of benefit to those clubs. Okay. And here's why I say that. There is still a set of members who are not actively engaged in pathways, or they're in pathways and they're not giving speeches. They're not promoting it. A new club being chartered has one choice of educational program, pathways. If I put a mentor in that club or a sponsor in that club that is not engaged in pathways, is not promoting it, is not giving speeches, how are they going to help that club? How are they going to help that club? And I know, well, I need to get sponsorship or mentorship so I can get my DTM. No, I'm not checking a box. This is something that we need to do, something that individuals have to be engaged in. So knowing who we're putting in there, knowing that where this club is can be supported by an area director. And I know we ask our area directors to only make 2 visits a year. And that's fine. More visits, obviously, are often better, especially with new clubs, because now you're seeing if that club is developing properly, if they need any additional resources, or struggling clubs, so that the district knows that club is struggling. But as leaders, you want to make sure that your area directors feel safe enough to tell you when something's not right, that the club is struggling, that they need additional resources. And here's why I say that. One, a struggling club may be used to struggling because they don't know what's available to them. So they're just used to being in that position. So the area director has to notice that, has to be honest about that. But if a club is struggling and the area director knows that club is struggling, yet the area director report says everything is a 5, meets or exceeds, and the district is going, all right, we've got this club, and in March renewal comes around, that club falls off. There's not a lot the district can do at that point. There's not a lot you can do. Between May and June 30th, not a lot you can do. So you need to encourage honesty and safe in the reporting process. And I think that's key. I think that's absolutely key, because we tend to shy away from negative reporting, right? And it's not negative. That's where you have to change the narrative. This is not a negative report. It's actually a positive report, because now it allows us to see how we can help, right? If we think everything is going right, then they don't need our help. That's fine. But change the narrative. Change it around. It's not, hey, everything's fancy and going well, when it's not. When it's not. And a club that's struggling, you can take that narrative and say, listen, we can help you. We want to help you grow, have stronger membership base, have stronger meetings, not for us, but for the exchange of ideas, for the riches that's going to bring your club, for the ability that you'll have to help influence others and help them grow and develop new skills. So again, it's how we as individuals, as leaders, state it. It's how we as individuals and leaders state it, and don't make it about us. The reason my mantra is that leadership's not about being the center of attention, it's about being the epicenter of action, is because I can stand in the starlight all day long and do nothing. I'll still have a title. Or I can get out of the bright lights, make things happen, and let the individuals who are doing it take the spotlight. It's not about, as leaders, it's about the team, it's about the individuals that we guide into these roles. Anyone ever heard, I'm a distinguished district director? You're actually not. You're not. You're a district director of a distinguished district. Your members got you there. You didn't do it on your own. So changing that, changing how we say and how we present things, making sure that we have the resources available, making sure that we're doing all we can to meet the members' needs, not ours. Our needs as a member, not our needs as a leader, district officer, our members' needs.
May I say something, Richard?
Of course, Chris.
Yeah, let me just add. I think you raised a couple of interesting points. The first point is that Toastmasters will thrive if everybody follows the 4 core values of Toastmasters.
Mm-hmm.
If that is not followed, then everything really falls apart.
Yep.
it really highlights the point you just made, that if every member absolutely subscribes to the 4 core values, then I think to some extent they set an example for others to follow, and then everything will fall into place. And so thank you for restating that. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, I think that's the key point there was at the end, is that as leaders, we lead by example. And if we're not doing that, why would we expect anybody else to do that? So I absolutely agree with that. We have to be the example there. All right, so let's go back to clubs for a minute here. We've identified the location. We know it can support what we need. We've done our research on it, right? We've tilled the soil, we've added the fertilizer, all that. We've planted the seeds into either the corporation or the community. If you're going into the corporation, plant those seeds with HR or some executive level within that, because those are the individuals that are going to get notice, right? If it's in community, understand what that community's needs are, why it's going there. Not just to build for the sake of building with purpose and sustainability, right? You don't want to build clubs this year so that next year's district leadership team watches them all fall off and has to rebuild again. Okay. You want to build a pipeline for future growth as well. So don't clear the decks so that everyone has to restart from square one. If the club just comes in as perspective at the end of the year, don't necessarily rush to try to make it happen and not let it fully develop. It may have to go to next year, and that's okay for the incoming team. Then that gives them something to start with. So we planted the seeds. Now we're going to nurture it. We're going to find demo teams that understand what's trying to happen here. We're going to send demo teams that meet the corporate culture, understand the community culture. We're going to have advocates that are there that are going to support it for the long term. Club growth directors. Clubs are your babies. I know it. The minute you form one, you take it under your wing and you watch it forever. And when it falls off the map, it breaks your heart because you don't know why. Right? And it feels like you're losing something. So make sure that we have the nurturing process there that can offer the resources, that can tend it, can provide it guidance and growth. Right? And every once in a while, you have to prune things a little bit. Sometimes we spend a lot of time on clubs that we know aren't going to get there, or try to develop clubs that aren't going to get there. And maybe we just have to prune it a little bit to help other things grow stronger. And if we look at developing clubs that way, as a simple model to growth, and then tweak it based on the specific need for that area, that corporation, that community, then we have a stronger possibility of those clubs being successful. But I would also encourage you to develop a strategic plan for what that looks like. Anyone familiar with SOAR analysis? I know most people are probably familiar with SWOT, strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, threats, right? So I'm going to do this in 3 minutes. This is a 45-minute session. I'll do it in 3 minutes for you. SOAR is strengths, opportunities, aspirations, and results. Okay? Don't follow it in that order. Look at aspirations first. What is it that we're aspiring to do here? Be specific. Then once you know what you're aspiring to do, list out your strengths. We build a club in this area. We've got a strong community. We've got a strong corporate base, whatever. Then list your opportunities. What gap can I fill by putting this club here? What advantages would it be? Those type of things. Okay. Sounds familiar, right? Sounds like SWOT. Here's the difference. Now that you've got strengths and opportunities side by side, draw an arrow between them. Draw an arrow between them. Because if you find that you have opportunities without strengths, you can either develop a strength or forgo an opportunity. Right? But this gives you an actual pictorial look at, yes, I have all these alignments here. I have all these alignments. Or you may have strength out there that you haven't been able to identify an opportunity for. And now I can utilize that strength to find this opportunity. And then the results are, well, what are the results going to show me that says I actually achieved this goal? And what's nice about SOAR analysis is time bound. See, SWOT is what are we doing right now? What's it look like now? But in my aspiration, I can say I want to develop a community club by January 1st, 2026. I know that's in the past, but I can say that. I can be very specific about it. And then I can build everything out from underneath of it. And the result that's going to tell me I'm successful is I develop that club by that date. And I'm just going to show you how powerful a strategic plan can be if it's monitored properly, written and monitored properly. Last year, I was speaking in China, and I was doing a workshop on strategic planning. And I have everybody develop a strategic plan throughout the course of the session. And I'll ask one individual to share their plan as we develop it. There was an area director in China who was an area director for an area in the United States. Now, mind you, it's May. And her goal was to get that area to distinguished. And she didn't think she could do it. We laid out the plan, her aspirations. We looked at her strengths and opportunities. She time-bound it by the date of June 1st that she wanted to achieve this, okay? And I told her, if you achieve it by June 1st, you let me know, and I will call and personally congratulate you. Didn't hear from her. Saw on LinkedIn this post from her that said, strategic planning works. I didn't make it by June 1st, but I kept to the plan and was able to accomplish it before the end of the year. Just because you miss it doesn't mean you give up on it. Doesn't mean you give up on it. Sometimes you just have to adjust. And there was a comment about success and individual success earlier. And what I have found is that individuals tend to see success at the end of their fingertips. It's as far as I can reach. Yet if you give them a little nudge, they can reach a little bit farther to get that next level of success that they don't think they can achieve. And that's what you do as leaders. You give that little bit of nudge. You give that encouragement. You do that as members of a club when you give an evaluation. Your evaluation isn't to tear them down. Your evaluation is to give them the opportunity to gain skills to continue to grow and stretch farther. The person who said I could never speak like that, when they joined the club, ends up speaking like that because of you. So yes, what was stated earlier about changing the narrative, absolutely 100%. Don't do things just because it says they have to be done. I'm not a big person for numbers, not that I don't like them, but numbers don't always tell a story. Right? I can knock an 8 on its side, it looks like infinity, and tell you it's just the same thing. Right? But there's a story that's behind it. And that's the key. That's the important thing, is understanding the story, understanding the narrative. So I wish you well as you move into your new districts. I'm not sure how District 100 is reforming, but I wish you all the best on that. I know Don is doing a tremendous job, so I'm looking forward to that. The business meetings, as were mentioned earlier by Angel, should be pretty smooth. There's not a lot. They're really no different than your regular district business meeting is. There's just a different group of people that'll be voting on it. I'm chairing 5 business meetings. So I'm looking forward to the experience and see what happens. But the new leaders coming in help develop the legacy of that district. The leaders going out of this current district are leaving the legacy that the district will be remembered by. Umanga, that's all I have. We can open it up for questions, whichever you'd like to have.
Yes, thank you so much, Richard, sharing all those valuable points. We really appreciate. It was a great session. So floor is open for question.
I'm not sure how Tracer manages to capture everything and type so quickly. I could never capture things that fast.
That's true.
Okay, Richard. I have a question. It's Teresa. I have a question for you. I heard you on the Toastmaster podcast about how you toured 140 clubs during COVID,
Yeah.
or something like close to
Mhm.
that, and you had a speaking role or an actual role.
Yep.
And I'm assuming you didn't do the planning and the logistics for that yourself.
No, I did not. So
What I've learned in traveling, I've visited 110 clubs in the last 6 months.
Yep.
And it has been a monumental logistical effort in order to do that. And what I've learned is that even just getting access to meetings can be an insurmountable hurdle. And so anyway, I just wondered if you have any thoughts on that for people as well. It's like there's different points of access
Sure,
and the
absolutely.
growth journey. So I'd appreciate that. Thank you.
Yeah, and that can be challenging to coordinate all that. Yes, I had a great team at World Headquarters that helped me with that. Two individuals actually, who we set up some guidelines for the clubs we wanted to visit. Not all of them were, hey, superstar clubs. We wanted to visit across the board, clubs that were struggling, clubs that had been presidents distinguished for a long period of time. But when we notified them that they were going to be part of the world tour, we asked them to provide the role that they wanted me to take on. So I didn't have any say in that matter. They told me they wanted me to be a speaker or be an evaluator, Toastmaster of the day, which for me was great because it allowed me to learn different skills, gain new insights into the organization. There were late nights and early mornings for sure. But I think one of the ways that we can do that and increase our ability to get into clubs, and I'm not big on Facebook. I'm really not. Sorry, it's not my thing. I'll stay on other social media platforms, just not big on Facebook. If you can find their homepage, their website through Find a Club, provided it's updated and they have it, that's a good way to get yourself in there. Look at social media. Certain clubs in Asia, you're not going to ever find their websites because they don't have them. If you are on WeChat, that is usually a strong Asian networking group there. It's their instant messenger, almost like our WhatsApp is. So that's an easy way to catch them. Reach out to region advisors. There's a list of the region advisors on the TI website. They may be able to provide you some insight as well, or even the district leaders for those districts can help. There can be a concern from a club as to why this person is joining. Why do they want to join our club, right? And I think that's where your narrative comes in. Listen, I'd like to give a speech at a club outside of my home to help me get, a different evaluation or a different resource. Being willing to help out, reaching out to them, say, hey, listen, I'd like to join your meeting and I'd like to take on a role for that meeting. Will give them a level of comfort that, hey, I'm not just here because I want to be here. I'm here because I want to take part in the meeting and participate. Uh, there are clubs out there that are looking for speakers on a regular basis. If you can help fill that role for them, that's a great opportunity, and I strongly encourage it. There is nothing better than getting an evaluation outside your club or getting an evaluation from another country. because we all tend to think that our words hit the mark when we speak, and they don't always hit the mark when we speak. So being able to get that feedback. When I was the district I was speaking at in China last year, I was told that a majority of the members at their conference were going to be English speaking. Now, mind you, their conferences are 700 to 800 people at a district conference. So I did a keynote a workshop the night before, and I noticed that it wasn't really as many English speaking people as I was thought there were going to be. And I talked to, excuse me, I talked to one of the district leaders, and they said, oh, probably going to be more like a 50-50 mix of English and Mandarin. And my choice was one of two things. One, risk losing half my audience with my session, or find a way to adapt to that session. And that night, I stayed up late and I had Mandarin subtext added to my presentation. I had it reviewed by somebody to make sure that it was accurate. They didn't want to make any faux pas in the language. And when that presentation went up, when they were able to see that there was not only the English but the Mandarin subtext to it, the audience became more connected. And as speakers, that's what we need to do. Find ways to connect with our audience. Make sure our words, our message are the same. And by speaking at clubs around the world, you'll get that opportunity.
Thank you very much.
Yep. And if there's a club you're trying to visit, just send me a message. I'll see if I know somebody there and can help you out.
Oh, I like you.
I'll put my contact information in the chat for everybody. I'll give you my. I don't usually do this. I'll give you my cell number. If you text me before you call me, because if I don't recognize the number, I can guarantee you one thing: I'm not answering it. And if you call me back a second time, I'm probably going to block it. So, 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 so text me first and say, hey, this is Teresa from District 100. We're at the Learning Lab. Can I call you and talk to you about X, or can you help me with a club? Absolutely.
That's
And
beautiful.
I am on WhatsApp and LinkedIn.
Hey, Richard, I'm also familiar with Eliza from World Travelers, and
Eliza Uliana, yeah.
I think she's basically a poster child for doing it well.
Yeah.
Can you share for the benefit of the folks who don't know her what she does really, really well? Because I know you're a sponsor of her club. Yes.
Yeah, so Eliza, that's the quick backstory, because I know you've got a session coming up and I don't want to take time away from your session. Backstory was when I started doing the world tour, people started joining the world tour with me, and Eliza was one of those individuals. And we ended up having about 20 people that would visit clubs with me. It was the oddest thing. I never expected it. But Eliza is very good at engaging with people and promoting events, promoting her visits, promoting her club events. And she will reach out to people to get them to speak at her club, World Travelers Toastmasters Club. Additionally, that club is specifically made up of individuals from around the world. So it's a nice melting pot, a pot of individuals. I will tell you the other thing, though, is do not ignore Eliza when she messages you, even if Anetta is going, no, do not. Because if you ignore her, you are going to get another message. And then what's going to happen is if they know I know you or my wife knows you, we're getting a message. Please don't do that to me. I don't want to do that. But she's very good at promoting her club, very good at the social media aspect of it. I will warn you, though, that I don't know if she ever sleeps, because I've gotten messages from her at the oddest times of the day, and I know that it's way late. Their club actually meets at 10 p.m. at night. So they are up late and and on it. But yeah, that's a really good club. If anyone wants to attend that club, send me a message and I'll get you a link to it. It's a fun club to join. I will say the only embarrassing thing about that club is they play a video about me at the beginning of it because I was essentially the reason they chartered that club. You can ignore that video, really ignore it. You don't have to pay attention to it. But yeah, it's a fun club, and they've managed to spend some time together. Yes,
I
please.
was just going to say that I've never seen a club. So they open up the meeting with an introduction that basically gives you context about the club and what they've done over the years, who the leadership has been, who the sponsors were, who the current leadership, and it helps orient because they're always getting new people to come. It's a really great way to reinforce the brand of their club. And I think it's incredible. I've never seen any other club. It's called World Travelers.
Yep, World Travelers Toastmasters Club.
Yeah, and their social media is fantastic. They
Yep.
do great event recaps. Like you almost feel like you just missed something monumental if you weren't there. And it's got a lot of good energy. Yeah, that's it, Katie. But yeah, I think they do some things that are really special. And they also have like their meetings can have like 40, 50 people online.
Yeah, it's crazy. And there's always I think this year they had Deepak speak, they had me speak, they had Dilip Abasekra speak, and they're the ones that do the 24-hour, essentially 24-hour around the world speaking event,
Yeah.
where they start out in New Zealand and they run around the world with events in one day. It's absolutely crazy, and they pull it off. They've done it a number of years. But yeah, it's a fun club to go to. They really have fun with the Zoom experience because their agendas and notices will say departing from gate X, on Zoom Airlines. So yeah, they have a lot of fun with it.
Mm-hmm. Anybody else have questions? Once in a lifetime opportunity, staring you in the face.
No, I'm always there for our members. I got to where I am because I had members that supported me. I will never turn away supporting a member.
There is a question that's in the chat. It says, I am a club coach for an online only club. We are looking for ways to be considered by prospective members. So, Michael, thank you for your chat.
Yeah. So do you have a website for your club?
We do. It is a free Toast host one, so it's not quite as extensive as some other clubs.
Yeah. And a lot of clubs use free toast. And I think you can tweak that. You've got to spend time with it to kind of make it more inviting. I know there's clubs out there that have had pictures on them from members that haven't been members of those clubs for years, but they're still there. Making sure the contact information is up to date. Social media is a big thing, especially if you have a good base of followers. I think that's helpful as well. Your district PRM team should be able to help with that. Make sure that they're promoting it through the district channels as well. Take advantage of what's available to you. Don't necessarily try to do it yourself. And that would help. You could also reach out to other online clubs that are 100% online, and ask them what they're doing to help promote their club. Use that resource, use that community. District directors who were at district leader training and will be at district leader training in August, that's your graduating group. Use those resources. Your district is just your district, but your district directors working together for a common goal, or program quality director, club growth director. Make it a community. Make it a community. Yep.
Thank you so much, Richard, again. We really appreciate being a special guest speaker in our learning lab and share all those valuable points with us today. Thanks again.
Thank you very much. Have a great rest of your day, everybody. Enjoy your weekend.
Bye-bye. So